The Women's College acknowledges the traditional owners of the land on which we are recording this podcast, the Turrbal and Jagera people of the Meanjin region. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and recognise that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples are Australia's first storytellers, communities and creators of culture. We recognise their continuing connection to the land and the waters. Welcome to Voices of Influence, a podcast brought to you by the Women's College within the University of Queensland. I'm your host and producer, Tess Feller. Our episodes are designed to ignite inspiration and empower young adults. Tune in for engaging discussions with diverse professionals who share actionable insights to navigate early adulthood. Today, on our very first episode ever, we have the wonderful Sally McPherson discussing the peaks and troughs of being a female in a male-dominated industry and how the Women's College prepared her for the sequential stages of her life. Sally is an accomplished professional who attended the Women's College from 1999 to 2002, studying a degree of Business Management and Arts from the University of Queensland. Having lived and worked all over the world, Sally has held very impressive roles such as working on events for the Beijing Olympics in 2008 and working for tech giants Microsoft and Samsung. In 2013, Sally co-founded iSeek Plant, which has grown into Australia's largest online construction hire marketplace. Under her leadership as CEO, iSeek Plant has aggregated thousands of suppliers and construction equipment assets onto one digital platform. Sally's commitment to diversity in the traditionally male-dominated construction industry makes her a prominent advocate for gender equality in the workplace. There is truly no better guest to kick us off on our podcasting journey, so welcome, Sally.
Thanks, Tess.
How are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm good. I'm great.
Yes, we're very excited to have you as our debut guest.
I'm excited. I don't know what that means or what additional pressure that confers on me, but I'll try my hardest.
You'll be amazing. But before we delve into your very interesting life, something we'd like to ask each guest is for a recommendation for our listeners. Is there something you've been reading, watching, listening to you think others could benefit from?
Yeah, so on a flight home from my annual ski trip in Canada.
Amazing.
Yes, beginning of the year, I watched Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown.
Oh, beautiful.
Brené Brown.
Yes.
Yeah, Atlas of the Heart. So it was a bunch of TV shows. I watched it back to back, so it would have been most of the flight that I watched it. And it talks a lot about, human beings being feeling entities that occasionally think rather than thinking entities that occasionally feel.
Uh-huh.
And so it talks about how to navigate feelings and how to navigate other people's feelings. And I think that is a really big topic in gender equality and gender equality in the workplace.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Your right to have feelings and how people deal with those in the workplace and what's appropriate and what's not. So it's like a really big topic. And I just found, that whole course of shows really, really resonant for where I'm at and in my career.
Yeah, wow. And it was little TV shows, episodes of a TV show?
It's like a Netflix series.
Yeah,
or something
amazing.
Like that. I'm not sure what provider it's on, but it was on the plane.
Yeah, amazing. It's probably on all of the streaming platforms. But
probably.
That's great.
Brené Brown.
And she wrote, it's from a book.
She's an emotional researcher. She's really well known.
Yeah.
She's like almost a household name in this kind of space. So I recommend Brené Brown.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Now, let's start from the very beginning. You were born into the quarrying industry in North Queensland. What was it like growing up in such a unique environment?
I guess that is in my introduction bio in LinkedIn, but it kind of makes me sound like I was born into a pile of gravel.
Yeah.
Kind of a funny visual, but that's not the case. So my dad was in quarrying and construction and mining, and so, he always had a business in that space. So
amazing. A
lot of my weekends and whatever were going out there, and some of my earliest memories were riding the sandhills down on cardboard and
amazing,
getting carried around in loader buckets and things like that.
Yeah.
So it kind of is in my blood. And then from about, my early teenage years, in the school holidays, I would go out and work in his workshop.
Yep.
And so, I guess that was my first experience of work generally, was being out in the dirt and the dust and the grease and all of that sort of stuff. I mean, Dad's workshop didn't even have a female toilet, so I used to have to walk down
Oh my
You didn't bother with
goodness.
one.
No.
Why would you need one?
Yeah.
It's the 80s.
Yeah, totally.
And the 90s. But so I'd have to walk down to the main office to go to the bathroom, and then I used to have to sit outside of the lunchroom because all the guys would be in there with like skimpy mags and talking really,
Oh my
rough.
goodness.
And
Yeah. And how old were you at this point?
my opinion was I don't want to ruin their lunch by being in there. No one wants
Wow.
the boss's daughter.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I think that really taught me. I have this weird love for it, and I think it came from then. And then I liked all the people that I met and talked to. Everyone was really nice and really down to earth and really salt of the earth. So when you have that much contact, it feels really familiar.
Yeah, of course.
But it wasn't ever an intent. Like, my intent was to get out of Townsville when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, when I got to high school, I specifically chose a degree where I could leave Townsville.
Yeah, wow.
So I never really set out to work in construction. I never really...
No.
Wasn't it?
Well, how full circle is that?
Yeah, it's funny because I think when Drew came to me, my brother came to me, he worked in that industry and he kind of followed in Dad's footsteps.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I had gone into marketing and gone into the big tech companies. So it was a really, really far away kind of place. And then when Drew kind of rang me and said, I've kind of got this idea and we've done this work on it and we've built a platform and can you help me with the marketing?
And this was in 2013?
Oh, it was actually 2011.
Yeah.
So we didn't really, we got it on the internet late 2012 and then I, left Microsoft.
Yeah, and is it just you and your one other brother?
No, so the co-founding group is four people.
Yeah.
So me, Drew, Matt, and Sean. And Sean is an older guy who's went older. He was like 10 years older than us.
Yeah.
And so he had a family to support and he really couldn't quit his job. So Drew, Matt, and Sally quit their jobs, went full tilt at it, and then Sean has been sort of somewhat of a silent founder, but always really supportive and just a great bloke. And then a lot of his friends and family were the original shareholders.
Amazing.
And so it's the three of us, and it's always been the three of us. And and then I became the CEO in late 2015.
Yeah, wow. Definitely. So do you believe that those early experiences of working in your dad's workshop and being around the construction sparked your interest to be a part of the construction industry?
The whole thing wasn't that deliberate. My brother came to me with an idea. I was bored at Microsoft. I had itchy feet. I was doing something that I'd done for 12 years already, and I knew how to do it. And my personal life wasn't great, and so I kind of just wanted something to sink my teeth into.
Yeah.
And so it was a great opportunity. So it wasn't super deliberate. It was more serendipitous than that. But I think my experiences growing up in the industry gave me this fundamental understanding of the mechanics of how the industry works.
Yeah, of course. So you weren't going in blind, you knew.
Oh no, I definitely think being born into quarrying and construction definitely gave me this kind of base level understanding of how everything works.
Well, it's just a foundational knowledge.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then it also just gave me the ability to talk to all the individuals in there and understand what makes them tick.
Yeah, amazing.
So for the first probably 6 years of the business, I was the primary salesperson, and I had never done sales. So I had to teach myself how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I became very good at it with a lot of practice. And so the first 6 years were just me in a plane or a car, just circling the country, going to the industrial site sheds outside, areas, signing up one membership, moving on, signing up another one.
Yeah.
Taking photos of people's fleets and putting it online. It was a really manual process. And so if I hadn't grown up working in that workshop and talking to all those people at my dad's business, then I wouldn't have been able to relate to them.
No, because for someone to pitch something and understand why somebody would then want to be a part of that is so fundamental.
And I think for a lot, for the first couple of years, they thought I was a snake oil salesperson. They're the internet's not real. I would meet guys that had never heard of Facebook.
Oh my goodness.
And they just didn't think the internet would ever be relevant for construction or their business.
Yeah.
And so it was this huge education process of sitting there and kind of saying, you know what, this is how much it costs for you to do it the other way. This is what manual business development costs, and around and around we go. So if I hadn't had that upbringing, I think that it would have been a pretty rude shock trying to sell our idea to that audience.
Absolutely. Well, that is amazing to know that you started in the construction industry without meaning to, and then all of a sudden now you're this big CEO of the construction company. It's so full circle. Moving on to something a little bit different. Could you tell us about attending the women's college in the late 90s? Any special stories you can recall that are appropriate for listeners?
Right, yes, I will edit. So I, in my life, in my context, the women's college was the making of me, and I hadn't had the easiest time in high school. I went to Townsville Grammar, co-ed school. First couple of years I got bullied. I was kind of a bit of a loudmouth, like I was just a bit clunky kind of a kid, you know, always saying what I thought and whatever. So I understand my role in those couple of years being difficult.
Yeah.
But I think I did find some friends sort of at the end of high school, but ultimately overall high school was just not my people.
Yeah.
And so all of the things people made fun of me for at high school, I kind of got to women's and everyone liked about me.
Wow.
It was full circle.
Yeah.
And so immediately made friends, was inspired by the different types of women that I met from all over Queensland and, you know, in some cases Australia. And it was just so much fun, and it was good fun. Like it was good quality human beings.
Yep.
You know, it wasn't a toxic environment. It had a really great culture. And so, they were just the best 3 years of my life. And I haven't really come close to those feelings, I think.
Amazing.
Settings.
Yeah.
And so, so my favourite memories of women's college were definitely the dining room.
Yeah.
Like, best things went down in the dining room.
Yeah, totally. And that is such a theme that carries through, even through now. And when people come back and they were there in the 80s or the 60s, they say just sitting down and being able to talk with your best friends for hours on end, like you lose time and space in there. Yeah.
It's a
day becomes
vacuum.
night.
Yeah. It's a time vacuum.
Yeah.
And I have this... Like, I think the amount of time we spent in that room talking about boys and our romantic relationships and things in that dining room, I reckon the amount of CO2 that omitted, like, would have probably had some, like, causal effect on climate change.
Yeah,
like,
100%. Yeah.
So the whole experience was amazing, but it's not just been those 3 years for me. Like, all of my friends are wuzzers, and all of those friendships have endured.
Beautiful to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have lived all over the world together. We have supported each other through very, very difficult circumstances. We've moved whole cities. Like, there was a whole big group of college kids that went to Sydney.
Oh, yeah, wow.
I went to Shanghai. Some people went to London, and then we all kind of came back to Sydney. So there was this huge gang of college kids down there. I go on an annual hiking trip, all college girls. It's, my husband still golfs with all the college kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally every weekend I would see someone from college.
Yep.
Still now, with our children involved. We've all stood at the end of aisles in taffeta dresses for each other.
Yep.
It's like, it changed my life, and it's set my life on this path that is markedly better than anything I could have done had I just been someone that came to college or someone that came to university and lived off-site and then just met people in the lecture hall. Like, it's a level of bonding and a level of, I don't know, it's bonding.
Yeah, and it shapes you, hey? It makes you who you are, and you think, wow, there's people out there who love me and want to be around me, and just let your true self shine. Yeah.
Well, 100% it feels like that for me now, where we all went off and we all did our overseas stint. And we did these jobs, and some of us moved to Melbourne and Sydney and then came back, and we all did our own thing. But ultimately, all my college friends feel like home. And, like, also the other fun thing is that Ross my husband was the first genuine college boy I had ever seriously dated.
And he was from John's?
He was from John's,
yes.
Yep. And it just fit like a glove, and it was like instant and easy.
Yeah.
And I remember going, why didn't I could have done this.
It's like Taylor Swift, Invisible String.
Yes, well, I could have dated Ross 10 years earlier and saved myself a lot of trouble, let's just say that.
Yes. There you go. But you probably wouldn't be the person you are today.
Well, yes, and I did have a lot of fun in those 10 years.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And would you say that attending a women's college specifically empowered you or shaped your views on gender equality in the workplace?
So this is a funny one because I'm from a different generation than you guys.
Yeah.
And we weren't talking about that then.
Yeah.
What we were talking about was how to adapt ourselves to fit into their environment. So back then in the 90s, I know you might find this outrageous, but the dialogue, the people that spoke, everyone that talked about this type of topic was talking about how women can change to fit in to the work environment. So the work environment was considered to be fixed. And
you're not changing that.
No, so we were the ones that had to do the changing.
Yeah.
We had to be less emotional. We had to change how we spoke, how we dressed. I remember seeing this speaker, this lady called Lois Frankel, who had been on the board of like GM. She was American. She was like a motivational speaker for women. And she came and she's like, basically, if you want to get anywhere, you got to cut your hair. You can't wear ponytails. You've got to wear long wigs. Like, so it's basically
you need to change.
That was what we all thought, right?
Yeah.
We all thought that the rules of the game were baked.
Yeah.
And that our job was to bring ourselves up to game ready. Like, we played their game and we had to do things and change how we were so that we could fit into that environment.
Wow.
So the idea of I don't remember us having those conversations, to be honest. And I don't remember seeing... We were, like, all sitting around the dining table all the time talking about when we have kids, and we all believed 100% that our career had two phases. So we would go out and work, and we all wanted to work overseas, so we all wanted a job that maybe got us to travel and whatever. And then we would all finish work and we would all have babies, and then maybe later on in life we would go to work, back to work. So I used to think about my career, and I used to think, okay, I'm going to work really, really hard before I have kids. Then I'm going to take all of my children years off.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to maybe consult and maybe write and...
Like, almost like it's one or the other. A little bit?
No, it was like our generation just understood or believed that we were going to be solely responsible for the children we produce.
Yeah.
And that our husbands would be earning more money.
Yep.
And that all of us pretty much grew up in pretty traditional setups. So you can pretty much look across my entire friendship circle and see that the dad had the career or a business, and the mum stayed home and looked after the kids, and that was the setup.
That's where it was.
So all of us believed that the only way to raise children is, in that format. And so I remember sitting around at the college table, like I remember my friend Leah, and we'd talk about like, when I'm on maternity leave, I'm just going to like wear linen shirts and all the time. Like, I can't wait for maternity leave.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even have maternity leave. I didn't have any maternity leave. Twice. But yeah, so my generation didn't think like that. So we weren't really talking about how to make the workplace more equal.
No.
We were talking about how we could adapt to fit in. And we were talking about, our careers having big gaps in them and how... And we also, I guess, still had the understanding or belief that our economic security would be provided by a man in some way, shape or form. So we were there earning a living and paying our way, whatever, but we kind of knew there would be a time where we'd hitch our wagon to someone and going forward, we would be financially dependent on them.
Yep.
So I remember having those conversations, and what was really interesting is as I went out into the workforce, my views on all of this started to change and morph, and then by the time I had gotten to... Well, Microsoft was a really female-friendly environment. Yeah. Like, all the leaders were female and things like that. So that was the first time I'd seen an environment like that. And I can honestly look back in the past, and if I look at the jobs that I had and the wage that I got paid, I'm pretty sure I wasn't paid less than any of my male counterparts.
Okay.
So I think that we've made progress in that space at least. Yes. And I can never say that I can't think of a situation in my career where I was paid less than a male for what I was doing.
Yeah, which is the way it should be. It shouldn't even be a conversation that we're...
Yeah, well, we are still having.
We're still having, but...
So I've never been paid less than a man in any job that I've done in the past. But then what happened was we got on the iSeek Plant treadmill.
Yep.
And we started running on that treadmill, and I started making promises to investors, and I then, met Ross, and then it's time I want to have children.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get off the treadmill. I couldn't.
No, you're having you're running on 2 treadmills.
2 treadmills.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've got one leg on each treadmill.
I'm pregnant and I've got legs on 2 treadmills.
Yeah.
So I couldn't stop, and I couldn't take a break. And in both cases, when I had a baby, I was in the middle of a deal. So I was in the middle of a capital raising deal.
Wow.
So you can't stop those because they evaporate.
Yep.
So I didn't have a choice. And both times I literally had a baby, got out of bed, got my laptop. Like, it was really bad, and it was really bad for me.
Yeah.
And the baby, I think. But ultimately, I really struggled because of these values that we had, where we all sat around in the dining room and talking about, these big, luxurious.
Well, yeah, you're not wearing linen in your maternity leave. You are wearing a pantsuit and you're on your laptop.
Not about an icy plant shirt and a pair of jeans.
Yes.
So it did not look anything like I thought it was going to look, and then it made me feel incredibly guilty.
Yep.
So my daughter's Vivi's first couple of years were utterly miserable for me. Utterly miserable.
And she's your eldest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit postnatal depression.
Yeah.
In the middle of a deal, lock the deal in, have a really difficult investor in Seven. Very grateful that they invested, but it was a difficult time.
Yeah.
We had to do a lot of growing up as a business.
Wow.
Full-time nannies, just so stressed out, and then learning to be a parent. And I was convinced I had completely screwed her life up.
Wow.
So I was carrying all of that down the road. And then by the time Addie came along, I kind of decided to give myself a little bit of a less hard time.
Yeah.
I'd realised that Vivi was okay and we were all okay, and the only person who wasn't okay was me.
Yeah.
So by the time Addie came around, I was giving myself less grief. But my career just didn't turn out how I thought it was going to.
Yeah, how interesting. How did you think it was going to turn out?
Well, like I said, I thought I was going to work for a bit, and I was going to take big time off and have kids, and I was going to go back and do something part-time. That's kind of how everyone thought.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're having kids and you're...
Full tilt.
A CEO.
Yeah. That was not on a vision board anywhere.
No, that was not in the conversations in the dining hall.
No, it wasn't. No, I'd always said I wanted to own my own business and run my own business, but I didn't have any ideas about that. And it was just kind of like, I would like that, but I really,
And your husband, what does he do?
So when I met him, he was working with his dad, and they had a business for 20 years.
Yep.
And then a couple of years ago, they sold it. Mm-hmm. So he's sort of starting his own thing. He's got a private equity company that he runs, and he buys into businesses. And I'm now helping him with that.
Okay.
And so when Ross and I met, he was CEO of his company. It was a lot bigger and more successful.
Yep.
But mine was a lot smaller and way scarier and always running out of money.
Yep. So
we had these 2 people that were really intellectually preoccupied all the time in the same house, who just had children. And so, the first couple of years were like this massive game of life Jenga, where we were just kind of trying to figure out, you got to go to Sydney tomorrow. We got to get the nanny in at 7 a.m. It was just this constant juggle. And then when Ross sold his business and took his foot off the gas, that was a massive relief. That was a big element of pressure that released. And now I've taken the foot off the gas and moved into a directorship.
Yep.
It's halcyon days at the Haywards. It's a lovely way to live.
Oh, nice.
2 of us working part-time, lots of time with the kids.
Yeah. And then considering these obstacles you faced, such as, you've got 2 feet on the treadmill or 2 different treadmills, and you're having kids and you're a CEO and you're so busy, would you share a specific experience or achievement in your career that you're particularly proud of?
So the Macquarie deal, so that was our Series B investment.
Yep.
Was a really good deal for the business, and it was a really big step up for us.
Yeah.
And that was really hard yakka. That deal went on for almost a year. And we got a really good outcome. The deal structure was good. The money was great. And we got a good partner in them. Macquarie's been a really great partner of our business. And that was a fun deal to do. I had some really big moments where I was, in the Macquarie there's a Macquarie office, well, there's a couple of them, and they've got these really amazing glass elevators. And I just remember standing in the elevators and I was like, oh my God, I'm just this kid from Townsville with this website. Like, why am I in this glass elevator? Had some really cool moments in that deal. Yeah, and that was one of the better things to happen to us.
Yeah.
Like, any time, like, you know, between all the different things I rustled up in that job, I raised about $26 million. And I was the girl that could find money under the carpet.
Yep.
I cooked up so many deals. We almost went broke 3 or 4 times, and I cooked up all these different ways that we could fund the business, from grants to commercial agreements to advertising to whatever I could do to fund the endeavour.
Yep.
And then a whole pile of different cap raises, and I built debt funding vehicles, and like, you name it, I cooked it up. And, that all of that is definitely my legacy, because we couldn't have survived.
No.
And I got it through from very, very dependent on capital to profitable now.
Yeah. So. Wow.
That's my bit done.
Yeah, you did that. It's amazing. Yeah. Listening to you talk about it and all of the things you've achieved, it's fantastic.
Thanks, Tess.
I would like to ask you, what advice would you give to women pursuing careers in these male-dominated industries, especially those just starting out or those who are amidst their studies?
Well, how I would like to see this conversation change is I would like everyone to stop feeling like I did, which is we've got to play by their rules.
Yep.
And we don't have to anymore.
No.
We can, as talented women and as talented people and as conscientious people, which, you know, everyone at the Women's College is. They've made a choice to be conscientious and ambitious. We have a choice of where we direct our energies and our talents. And so there's a combination here of choosing the right environment to contribute your talents to. So making a conscious choice, like, is this kind of a business that I want to work with?
Yep.
Do I like their values? Is this inclusive?
Yeah, are you aligning?
Yeah. Can I see any females in the leadership? You know, things like that. So making a conscious choice about where you contribute your brilliance.
Yep.
And the second thing is to change the rules and call it out. So, you know, the final frontier, I think, in this conversation is I can't really think of any big moments in my career where I experienced overt sexism.
Yep.
I can think of some moments where I experienced really strong support. So, like, when I was put forward for the CEO's role in 2015, everybody got behind that.
Oh.
And I felt really supported in that. And they put me forward and said, she's the right person for this job.
Yeah.
You know, I had male co-founders that could have had the job as well, and, you know, it was me that was supported. So I felt like there was some really good, positive moments of support. But there is a lot of stuff that kind of bubbles under the surface, you know, little things that indicate that a woman's level of influence in any conversation can be lessened by these things that are still happening.
Yeah.
So the mansplaining and the, you know, the accusing you of having feelings and the you know, there's just these little tiny things that are still going on in the workplace all the time. And so it's on us to call it out. And let me give you an example from my life. So you probably go to Christmas, right? And you probably go to Christmas with your family, and there's the family and the dads and the brothers and the whatever.
Yeah.
So for years, what happened was all the women were in the kitchen cleaning up the pans and doing all the cooking, and the men were sitting around, legs up, you know, having their red wine, not doing anything.
Yep, cigar in hand.
Yeah, smoking jackets on, talking about politics. So every year for probably the last decade, I would walk out there and go, is this the 70s, guys? Like, come on, right? And they were resisting it. And then this year, at some point on the Christmas day, all of the men just decided, without me saying anything, to change the model. And they all got up and they all felt responsible for some element of cleaning up and some element of cooking and some element, and it was all just one big group.
Wow.
Now, no one ever got up because I told them to.
No.
I'd gone out to the table and said, hey guys, this is the 70s, get off your backside. We're not the only ones in here that are going to do it.
No, you're calling out the behaviour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But they'll sit there and they'll resist. But if you say it enough, something might change.
Yeah.
And then eventually they will take it on themselves to reflect.
Yeah.
And you might not be satisfied with the speed of that.
No.
It might have to be like 10 years like me of going, hey guys, this is bullshit.
Yeah. But eventually something will click.
But eventually they'll get up and they'll clean the damn pans.
Yeah.
And that's certainly true of as my husband and I and a lot of other couples renegotiate the domestic jobs at the moment.
Yes.
That's the real topic. And as we renegotiate the roles in the workplace, you can find a kind and clear way of calling out these things without embarrassing people.
Yeah.
You can pull people aside and say, hey, I'm just letting you know that I just observed this behaviour.
Yeah.
And that this is how this makes me feel. So can you not do that, or can we try it a different way? And you can find these really kind ways to call people out.
Yeah. Or even
the behaviour out.
Calling out. Like, you don't have to call them out as it's happening. You can call them in and pull them out of the conversation and say, as you said, hey, this is not on.
And that's how I recommend you do it.
Yeah.
Definitely don't call it out in public. But you've got to say it. You've got to say it out loud, and you've got to keep saying it, and eventually it will change.
And back yourself.
Totally.
Yeah.
And listen to them as well, right? And listen to what they have to say and what their perspective is. But ultimately we can change all of this stuff by just saying it's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing. It's not easy, but it's like one thing that everyone is capable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Self-advocacy is something you've really got to try to figure out how to do in the early years of your career.
Yeah, amazing. And then so how do you see this trajectory for women in these sectors? Do you think you're saying let's call out the behaviour? Do you think that in the future this is going to become a more inclusive culture? What do you think about that?
Well, yes. We will become more inclusive because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, inclusivity is the only thing that makes sense in the modern world. Leveraging everybody's skills and abilities is the most common sense thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? I guess the recent studies of that pay study that came out was really interesting.
Yes, in Australia.
The one that named and shamed the companies.
Yeah, which I found really interesting because it was female-owned companies as well that had...
Oh, but what that showed is that the issue is structural as well.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of examples of... There wasn't as many examples of women being paid less for the same job.
No.
What there was, the problem was that women were in the lower echelons of the corporation on lower pay levels, so they weren't in the executive roles.
Yep.
And so the men in the executive roles were dragging the averages up. So the issue was structural.
Yeah.
Now, that comes from a variety of really complex issues. So levels of education, levels of ambition and, self-belief and all that, and then right through the major issue, which is women taking a period of their career off to have children.
Yeah.
So that is where a lot of women's careers stalls and stagnates. And even though we're supposed to keep jobs open and whatever, they lose a lot in that 3 years. They lose skills, they lose relevance, they lose contact with the framework. The framework, you take fingers out of a bowl of water and the water closes over you. That's what happens when you leave a company.
Yeah.
Is the moment you leave a company, they will find ways to live without you.
Yeah.
And so that's a major structural issue. Now, I'm not recommending you don't take maternity leave.
No.
For kids. I'm not recommending that. But I am recommending, I do think there's a way for men and women to kind of meet on the home front and do more of the 50-50 of the child rearing so the women can go back and stay in touch with their skill set.
Yeah.
So one thing that is probably quite prominent in my generation is that there's many women in my contemporaries that have completely given up work for a really long time. So if anything happens in their marriage or relationship, their position's quite precarious because they will come out of that relationship, have to go back to full-time work, and they will have much less super, much less financial security, whatever. So I think that in any way, if we can better share the responsibilities for child rearing, then both people can keep their finger on the pulse of their careers and their skill sets and their industries, then I think that will go some way in levelling up the wage issue, because women will still stay in the workforce, stay relevant to the workforce, stay relevant to the roles that they've built their careers up to that point. And then if the men and women share the child rearing, I think that's where it's all coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds simple, but yeah.
Well, it's probably it's the major mindset shift. Certainly in my generation, I don't think there's many relationships or friends that I have where the woman is out earning the man. So it's still very traditional setup. Like the guy, the career, the big money, and then and that's even the case with Ross and I. Ross always earned a lot more than me. So it makes sense for the man to stay working full time.
Yep.
But what that means is a huge structural change in that woman's ability to earn a living and to continue to grow in her career, and she will be far behind the 8 ball.
Oh, well, we've just covered a lot, but like, if you could give a piece of advice, you've said a lot about how women's has shaped who you are and how the people, not even just for your 3 years, but the people you met there have helped shape you and on your life journey. If you could give a piece of advice to young women about the importance of cultivating strong female friendships, what would it be?
Well, for starters, I think all of the relationships that you form in your life, whether they're romantic or platonic, they are the greatest determinant of your happiness.
Yeah.
So your relationships with other people are what you're going to bring, will bring you joy above any other thing in life. And you really have to choose who you give your time to and whether they deserve it. Mm-hmm. And then you have to reciprocate. Yeah. So, one of the things I talk about a lot, and I have spoken about at speeches at women's before, is your instincts.
Yes.
I talk about that, and I talk about if I look back at the Sally that sat in the dining hall in 1999 and the Sally that is here today, they're very different people, like extremely different people, and I've gone through a lot of evolution. And that Sally didn't really understand her value. Mm-hmm. And it took me the best part of 2 decades from that point to really understand my value as a human being. To understand my personal sovereignty and understand that I was bringing all of this stuff to the table. I tried so hard. I was silly. I was fun. I was giving things to my friendships. I had a community of people that I'd given to and they'd given back to me. I had a good family. I had worked my ass off at work.
Yep.
I'd studied. I'd got on Dean's Honour Roll. I gave life so much effort. Mm-hmm. And I have sustained many multi-year miseries by giving effort to people that were not giving it back to me. And were not reciprocating the level of effort I was putting in. And that goes for some friendships, that goes for romantic relationships as well.
Yep.
So you have to choose who you are friends with, and there's a lot of women at women's, and they are all extremely high quality women. They are ambitious, they are educated,
yep.
They are kind, they are supportive, they are smart, they are funny, all of those things. And so you've got to navigate and figure your way, who are the relationships that are bringing something to the table for me.
Yep.
And focus on them and lean in that direction and lean away from the ones that aren't. And that goes for boys, girls, whatever you're into, and then your friendships,
Yeah.
Every one of the girls at women's college right now, even at 18, 19, 20 years old, you have a life you've built. You've gone to... Your parents put you into a good school and that really probably wasn't your choice, but you've made an effort and you've succeeded at that school and you got yourself into university, and now you've decided that you're going to be economically independent and you're going to do the best thing you can at your degree, and you're going to put effort into that. Mm-hmm. And then you put effort into your friendships and you're going to put effort into college. And so that makes you, in my opinion, a very high quality human being.
Yeah,
so
well-rounded.
Well-rounded?
Yeah.
Right? Top of the tree.
Yeah.
In terms of the dating pool, the friendship pool, top of the tree, right?
Uh-huh.
So stay up at the top of the tree. Don't mess around down at the base of the tree.
No. Know your worth.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Totally.
It's a terrible... My metaphor's terrible. But,
no, not at all.
hang out with people that deserve your time and energy and effort, and acknowledge that you've got a life that you've built, and even though you're very, very young, you've got things in your life that are worth protecting.
Yeah.
So don't bring anyone into the nest that doesn't deserve to be there, and don't waste your time on people who are not reciprocating your level of effort.
Yep. Very well said.
There you go.
Yep, totally.
Stay at the top of the tree, ladies.
And to finish us off with one final question, Sally, who is the most influential woman in your life and why?
Oh, my mum.
Yeah.
Everyone probably says that, right?
Oh, well, you're our first guest, so you get you get the debut of saying your mum.
Copy me. No, my mum's awesome. She, so my mum is the world's nicest, kindest, most giving human being.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad's ambition and my dad's kind of template informed a lot of my career aspirations. Yep. But my mum's approach to everything else in life, which is actually everything else in life, so kids, romantic relationships, friendships, everything, she's always so spot on. She understands the emotional relationships of life. She was one of these people, well, she is one of these people that is a pillar of the Townsville community. Everyone would come over to mum's and have a cup of tea and cry on the couch. I don't know if she really liked that, but everyone relied on her and her strength, and she's been through a lot, and she's stayed so wonderful. And watching her with my children is just a joy.
It's beautiful
to see what relationship they have and how much effort she puts in. And you know, the moment she comes in the house, they scream, "Grandma!"
Oh, that is so cute.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like when you have kids, it's a whole new layer to the relationship you have with your parents. And they don't even look. My parents walk in, don't even look at me now. They're just look straight.
Yeah, they're going straight to the kids.
I'm invisible.
Yeah.
No, it's she's an amazing human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Sally, thank you so much for your time. You have shared very valuable insights with both me and our listeners, so thank you for your honesty, vulnerability, transparency. I've learnt a lot, and I'm sure our listeners have learnt a lot too, so thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, Tess. See you guys.